Working on the 2000 Blazer. I left it sitting for about a week and the air conditioning stopped. So now we're trying it with refrigerant, with stop leak and UV dye, and hopefully we can determine where the leak is on this thing. So I've been recharging the AC with that UV dye refrigerant, and I've been using my black light, UV light. I was finally able to find where the leak was. It's kind of hard to see, but it's one of those lines that goes to the condenser. It's very faint, which would explain why it's leaking, but very slowly. It's been a few days, and I have lost all of the refrigerant in my AC system. You can kind of see the UV dye right about there. I'm going to be replacing the seals on those two AC lines that go to the condenser. It really shouldn't be too difficult. Just the battery tray, and then I should have access to those two lines. Now that I have the battery out of the way, it's just a couple bolts, one there and one there, and that should give me, well, the best access I'm going to get to those two lines down there. Now that the battery tray is removed, you can see I have much better access to both of those lines. It looks like it's definitely leaking out of this top one. I'm going to replace the O-rings in both just to be on the safe side. Alright, so I just removed the lines. You can see this one here, that O-ring was definitely smushed on one side. It's probably the original, or if not, it was poorly installed. It's hard to say. When I got this thing, it didn't have air conditioning. But we'll replace this old O-ring with something a little nicer and a little newer. And the same goes for this one down here. I'm sure this one is in just about as bad a shape as that first one. I just got to be careful because I just drove this, so this radiator right here, and especially that radiator hose right there, is really hot. So I got the first O-ring on there, and you'll notice it's green because these are the AC specific O-rings. I'm told you can use these for other applications. They're supposed to be a much higher quality than the old school black rubber O-rings. I got this little pack here initially when I went to go reinstall these AC lines, and I had lost the seals that came with this new compressor. So I bought the whole kit because I didn't just have the line seals. It's a good thing I got the assortment pack, or rather the kit for everything on this vehicle, so if this ever happens again, I can take care of this at a different point, whether it's, you know, right here or there, or who knows. Before I install this, because it's dry, I'm going to take a little bit of the PAG oil I got for this vehicle, and I'm just going to coat the O-rings on this one and on that one, just so it installs and seals properly, doesn't bind or tear or bend. If you look at this one, assuming this is not the factory one, given how it's flattened like that, could have easily gone on dry and caught on something when they were reinstalling it. So we're going to try to avoid that from happening today. Those two lines are back on with the new O-rings. I made sure they were snug because I really don't want to do this again on this truck. Now I just need to put that battery tray back in, then the battery, and then recharge the AC system, and I should be good to go. Currently, I'm about 4 or 5 hours away from home at work, and it really sucks losing your AC when it gets to be about 90 something degrees during the middle of the day. And on jobs like this, I miss my power tools. I left them all at home, not thinking I would need them, and lo and behold, on this old girl, ended up needing them. Fortunately, this job wasn't too long, but it saves my hands and wrists and saves me a bunch of time that I could be spending in an air-conditioned building right now. I just finished putting the battery box or battery tray back in, and I'm looking at these O-rings. This one here is actually a ring, and it's round, a little flat, but not too bad. This one, it's really square shaped. So I wonder if maybe this was the factory one and this one was leaking and they just replaced this O-ring, or if this one was leaking and someone tried using just an O-ring and it didn't work well. Who knows? All I know is that my buddy who's getting this after me, he'll definitely appreciate that I'm trying to do a good job here and doing this thing the right way. Now that it's all put together and running again, the last step is to recharge it. And I'm starting with some more of that UV dye refrigerant. So if there is another leak, hopefully I'll be able to catch it. All right, I was recharging the system and I started checking again, and it was kind of hard to see. But if you look right there, let me see if I can get a better angle at it. But you can kind of see a little bit of UV dye coming out of the low pressure gauge, the low pressure sensor. So I am going to see if I can pull this guy off and replace an O-ring right there too. So I replaced the O-ring, and it was this little guy here. I always hate when you get an O-ring and you have a few sizes, but maybe one of them is too thick, or one of them is too small, or one of them is slightly bigger and you're not sure if it's going to seal. Fortunately, it's not that difficult to get to, so it might just be trial and error. The port that this screws into looks very similar to this, except it's threaded, and the O-ring sits right about there. On both of them, there is kind of like a Schrader valve, kind of like a tire. Can't really see it too well here. And I did hear some hissing, so it's possible that that Schrader valve is going bad. Fortunately, with this sensor on, that shouldn't be a problem, but that is something that's good to know, that the actual valve in there is going bad. And at sometime in the future, my buddy, when he takes ownership of this car, he's probably going to want to replace this, which if you're doing the job, the full job, you probably would be replacing this anyway. It is a Delphi, so it's either an original GM or original part, OEM part, or that means that this was replaced probably very early on with a Delphi unit. I'm not sure. When I bought it, it was the 4th owner, and I've been fixing it up ever since. It's a great truck, though. I did like working on it, other than the spark plug on that side. Number 3, it was a pain, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, look up changing number 3 spark plug on a 4.3 V6 on like a Blazer or S10, and you will know the pain. It was frustrating and very time consuming just for one single spark plug. back to this. We'll get this thing fired back up. I'll continue to charge it more, and we'll check for leaks. Well, after running it for a little while, I don't see any UV dye leaking out from there or here. And I checked on the ground to see if there was any from maybe a bad condenser. Also checked where the lines go into the AC compressor. There's also a sensor back there to see if maybe it was leaking out the back. And so far so good. So for now, job is done.